Hello everyone. In today's vlog, we'll be talking about one of the fundamental pillars of education, the curriculum development. Curriculum development is the systematic and thoughtful process of planning what students need to learn, paano ito ituturo, at bakit ito mahalaga sa kanilang buhay. It considers the learner's needs, societal demands, and future opportunities para maging meaningful, updated, at life-ready ang education na natatanggap nila. Sa pamamagitan ng curriculum development, educators and experts work together to design learning goals, select essential content, and align teaching strategies that help shape well-rounded and competent learners who can contribute to nation building. These are the learning outcomes. Number one, explain the various procedures of curriculum development in the technical scientific approach and apply the specific steps to create a general curriculum plan. Number two, describe the various non-technical scientific approaches to curriculum development. Explain how one might enact a curriculum development process. Number four, identify and explain the various participants who should be involved in the curriculum development process or processes. Let us now proceed in the first topic, technical scientific approach or the modernist perspective. In the field of curriculum, makikita natin ang dalawang magkaibang approaches. Una, ang technical or scientific approach na nakaangkla sa traditional theories and models of education. It is structured, standardized, at nakasunod sa formal methods of schooling na matagal nang ginagamit. Sa kabilang banda, nariyan naman ang non-technical or non-scientific approaches na umuusbong mula sa avant-garde and experimental philosophies and politics. These approaches challenge the usual practices of formalized education at mas fluid, creative, and emergent, aiming to respond to the diverse and changing needs of learners today. Sa curriculum development, may dalawang pangunahing pananaw o approaches na kadalasang pinag-uusapan. Ang technical scientific approach na nakabatay sa modernist perspective. Dito, naniniwala ang mga curriculum planners na ang curriculum ay maaring planuhin ng detalyado, step by step at malinaw na mamamanage ang bawat bahagi. May tinatawag na certainty principle na nagsasabing ang knowledge ay tiyak, measurable, at maaaring hati-hatiin sa logical and knowable components. Kaya ang curriculum dito ay structured, organized, at nakafocus sa malinaw na objectives at measurable learning outcomes. Madalas, ginagamit ang task analysis para masuri ang mga gagawin ng estudyante at i-breakdown ito sa distinct learning tasks. Ilang kilalang models dito ay sina Bobbitt, Charters at Tyler na nakafocus sa procedures, pati na rin ang Tabas grassroots rational, Wiggins and McTigay's backward design at sina Jonathan Tesmer at Hanum na ginagamit ng task analysis approach. The technical scientific approach views curriculum as a well-planned and organized system kung saan lahat ng lessons ay may clear and measurable learning outcomes na madaling i-monitor. Para may step-by-step guide si teacher kung ano ang dapat matutunan, paano ito ituturo, at paano susukatin kung natutunan ng mga bata. Everything is aligned to ensure efficient knowledge acquisition and a structured learning experience for all learners. The technical scientific approach uses scientific methods and rational planning in developing the curriculum, inspired by empirical tools, tulad ng surveys and behavior analysis. It follows a clear system, means, and structure, parang well-organized blueprint, believing that the more rigorous and systematic the process, the higher the chance na ma-achieve ang educational goals ng mas efficient at measurable. Though evaluation is possible, there is some debate about the precision and meaningfulness of such assessments in capturing holistic learning. This model began around the 1900s, shaped by the rise of scientific fields such as biology, physics, chemistry, and machine theories from industry, which prioritize efficiency, objectivity, and quantifiable results in curriculum planning. Bobbitt and Charters compare curriculum development to constructing a railroad. Parang pagplano ng malinaw na ruta para sa growth, culture, at individual abilities ng mga mag-aaral, making sure they reach a meaningful educational destinations. Sa approach nila, tinutukoy ang essential skills activities at qualities na kailangan para maging effective ang isang tao sa totoong buhay. Halimbawa sa TLE, ang lessons tulad ng cooking or basic business planning ay hindi lang basta subject requirement, kundi practical skills na magagamit sa future work and daily life. Parang bawat railroad track na maingat na inilalagay para siguradong makarating ang mga learners sa tamang direksyon ng kanilang buhay. This approach also emphasizes learning from real-life situations kasi naniniwala si Bobbitt na students learn best through actual experiences that build judgment and participation skills sa community. He advocates a system and scientific method of choosing only the most meaningful educational content para ma-develop ang learners into productive and responsible citizens. Sa madaling sabi, tinitingnan muna kung ano ang tunay na kailangan sa buhay. Mga life-related activities tulad ng communication, collaboration, at problem solving. At doon, ibinibase ang curriculum. This idea aligns with the modern backward design, kung saan inuuna muna ang desired outcomes bago planuhin ang lessons, making sure every learning experience may clear purpose at real-world value. According to them, curriculum should align with educational goals, with influence the selection of content and activities. There are four steps. Process. Number one, select objectives. You have to define educational aims. Number two, divide objectives. You need to categorize objectives into ideals and activities. Three, analyze units. Break down activities into practical components. Four, collect methods. Develop methods to achieve these goals. Let's talk about the number two, Tyler model for basic principles. Number one, objectives oriented. You have to establish general learning objectives from various sources like society, learners, and subject matter. You have to refine objectives to align with school values and cognitive principles. Number two, selection of learning experience. Experiences must align with objectives and consider students' backgrounds and learning development. Three, organization of learning experiences. You have to organize curriculum to build cumulative knowledge, linking key concepts and skills for enhanced retention. Number four, evaluation of curriculum. Evaluation is integral to gauge effectiveness and make necessary adjustments. Tyler's curriculum development model focuses on a logical and systematic flow in designing the curriculum, starting with identifying learning objectives na galing sa needs of society, the learner, and subject matter. These objectives are then screened using philosophy and psychology to ensure they are appropriate and aligned with educational values and how learners develop. After finalizing the precise objectives, teachers select learning experiences and organize them in a meaningful way para masigurong step by step na nade-develop ang competencies ng students. Finally, evaluation is conducted to check if the objectives were achieved at kapag may hindi na-meet, the process loops back parang continuous improvement model na laging nag adjust para sa better learning outcomes. Number three, Hilda Taba Grassroots Model advocates for teacher involvement in curriculum design with a focus on meeting student needs directly. Here in Hilbataba model, you have to start with diagnostic. You have to diagnose the needs of the learners. You have to formulate objectives, and then you select content, and then after that, you organize content, the key concept, main ideas, facts. After that, you have to select learning experiences. After selecting learning experiences, you have to organize learning experiences, teaching strategies for cognitive development, teaching strategies for effective development, and after that, it's what we call the evaluation. This is the Hilda Tabag-Rasser's model to explain when you diagnose the needs of the learners, you have to identify specific student needs. The next one, if you want to formulate the objectives, you have to set clear goals based on diagnosed needs. After that selection of content, how are you going to select? Choose relevant content that aligns with objectives. Next, you have to organize of content. How are you going to organize it? Them, rather. Arrange content based on learner maturity and interest. Number five, selection of learning experiences. You have to design methods to engage students. Organization of learning activities. Structure activities to enhance comprehension. Seven, this is the last, evaluation and assessment. You have to determine the effectiveness of the curriculum in achieving objectives. Are you more of a top-bottom or bottom-up approach? Number four is backward design model. According to Grant Wiggins and J. Matigay, begin with the end in mind, focusing on the desired outcomes before planning specific instructional activities. It was inspired by Bobbitt and Charter's task analysis and principles from architecture and engineering, where end goals dictate planning. Also, backward design model is a method of instructional design, which asks users to begin with the end in mind, or within the end desired results, goals or standards, and then build the curriculum from the evidence of learning or the performances called for the standard and the teaching needed to equip students to perform. So this is the model of backward design. First, you have to identify the desired results. After that, you have to determine acceptable evidences. And the third or the last, you have to plan learning experiences and instruction. Under the identifying desired results or the goal, number one question that you need to ask, what students or what should students know, understand, and be able to do? What values and attitudes should they develop? Align with national, state, and local standards. Choose concept skills and knowledge that lead to desired skills. Focus on big ideas that students should retain long term even after details fade. Number two is you have to determine acceptable evidence or the evaluation. Determine how success in meeting goals will be measured. Utilize a variety of assessment methods. For example, the quizzes, performance tasks, projects, and observations. Teachers act as assessors, planning assessments for detailing lesson activities to ensure that evaluation aligns with goals. Number three is plan learning experiences and instruction. What are the questions that you need to consider? What skills and knowledge are essential for success? What activities will help students master this? What materials and resources support student achievement? You have to design experiences and instructional activities that support knowledge acquisition, skill development, and enduring understandings. Ensure that the course structure and content align with overarching curriculum, goals, and development principles. Number five is subject matter analysis. You have to determine the most important knowledge that students should require. You have to engage subject matter experts to define crucial topics, concept, rules, and theories. So I'll be explaining the master design chart. I'll be introducing it to you. Rows represent critical topics, and columns show emphasis levels or learning behavior. Example, understanding concepts or generalizations. Differs from a curriculum map by focusing not just on content topics, but also on student engagement with the material. Organize topics meaningfully, example, chronologically, according to knowledge or structure. So this is the chart. So we have contents here, the landforms, the water bodies that includes the mountains, hills, plateaus, plains, oceans, lakes, rivers, and seas. So there are under no verb, you have to state the facts, explain concepts, and present generalization. Analyze, deconstruct concepts, or determine relationships. Apply, do fieldwork to gather data. Evaluate, determine accuracy of field data, judge the validity or judge validity of conclusion. Next, we shall have learning analysis. You have to identify the sequence of learning activities to help students acquire the selected content and master skills. You have to analyze which cognitive or problem-solving activities will help students learn the material. You have to determine the optimal sequence and instructional approaches, informed by cognitive psychology and brain research. Brain research helps improve understanding of how specific content fosters learning. This is the synthesis in a master curriculum plan. After task analysis, create a master curriculum plan to integrate content selection, learning activities, instructional methods, materials, and evaluation methods. You have to define specific learning objectives across cognitive, affective, and sometimes psychomotor domains, aligning objectives with content sequence and learning activities. So this is the format for the master plan. We have the objectives, the content or the subject matter, instructional activity or instructional approach, the materials or the evaluation methods. Before we shall proceed with the next, kindly answer this. How can you apply the curriculum models like Bobbitt and Charters, Tyler, Taba, backward design, and subject matter analysis tools in planning lessons that help your future students learn effectively in real life situations? Let's now proceed with non-technical scientific, non-scientific, postmodern, post-constructivist. The non-scientific approach to curriculum development contrasts with the traditional. So, baligtad sila, no? They are dissimilar or it's not the same, kabaligtaran. Technical scientific model focusing instead on the subject, personal, and complex nature of education. This postmodern or post-constructivist perspective embraces the complexities of the educational landscape and views curriculum development as a dynamic, interactive process rather than a fixed objective procedure. Meaning, buhay na buhay siya, it's very dynamic, it's interactive, what else? Ano siya, kumbaga very flexible siya. The characteristics of this rejects the notion that curriculum development is purely objective, universal, or linear. Hindi niya tinatanggap yon. Puts the learner's experience at the center rather than focusing solely on content mastery. So it's student-centered siya. Recognizes that knowledge cannot always be broken into discrete parts. It is intertwined with the learner's social and personal context. Like what I've mentioned earlier, curriculum, in this definition of curriculum, it's very dynamic, interactive, and flexible. Also, it is holistic and contextual, shaped by and responsive to cultural, political, ecological, historical, and biographical influences. The curriculum is not finalized before students enter the classroom. Instead, it is developed through interactions between teachers and students. Sometimes, nagkakaroon ng new learning experiences during the discussion na mismo, no? Encourages a child-centered or problem-centered design, adapting content based on students' needs, interests, and the emergent direction of the classroom discourse. So, meaning, nakadepende doon sa lesson mo, doon sa curriculum, based on the students' needs, interests, and emergent direction. So this is the table 7.1 overview of curriculum development approach. The approach is non-technical, non-scientific, postmodernist, post-constructivist perspective. The major assumption is curriculum development is subjective, personal, aesthetic, and transactional. Curriculum development stresses the heuristic spiritual, social. Curriculum development accepts orderly disorder. So view of curriculum is viewed as conversation. Curriculum is viewed as evolutionary. Curriculum is viewed as a dynamic and uncertain system. The major models, the deliberation model, its lottery approach, thus for ours approach. Let's discuss the deliberation model. This model emphasizes a collaborative six-stage process where educators and stakeholders share ideas, negotiate, and reach consensus on curriculum content. This model recognizes the subjectivity and cultural diversity within educational goals, balancing systematic thinking with an acceptance of non-linearity. Another thing, the deliberation model integrates modern and postmodern perspectives, emphasizing a flexible, systems-oriented approach where feedback and adjustment are essential. Deliberation proceeds from problem identification through proposal development, leading to solutions within a socially constructed context. Curriculum development considers cultural, custom, and value diversity, aiming for curricula that reflect diverse social contexts. So, what are the stages of deliberation? Number one, public sharing, meaning participants openly discuss ideas, share visions for education, and set foundational goals for curriculum development. Number two, highlighting agreement and disagreement. Identifying points of alignment and difference on curriculum goals and approaches. Number three, explaining positions. Members articulate and justify their views, data, and rationale, aiming for mutual understanding. Highlighting changes, highlighting changes in position. Members may adjust views based on others' insights and data. Negotiating points of agreement consensus building through persuasion, and mutual respect to resolve curricular issues. Number six, adopting a decision. Achieving a consensus that reflects the group's values and practical educational goals, including methods, pedagogy, and assessment. Let us now proceed with this lottery's approach. Curriculum should be adaptable, both globally and locally, respecting the uniqueness of each student and acknowledging the complexity of their experiences. Postmodern curriculum development requires rejecting modernist perspective on education to foster a postmodern educational experience. Curriculum should be viewed as an emerging field that enables students to address global and social challenges. Also, curriculum development should be a reflective process, encouraging educators to engage in self-study and introspection to do better or to better understand their past, present, and potential future teaching. Curriculum developers should be scholarly in their approach, interpreting educational documents and context through hermeneutics or the science of interpretation. I'll give you an example. The teacher begins by reflecting on their personal educational journey, exploring how their own background and biases may shape their teaching approach. This introspection helps them recognize any assumptions they might carry, such as emphasizing certain historical narratives over others. Through this process, the teacher aims to gain a clearer understanding of how their values and experiences influence their current teaching style and approach. Next, we have Dahl's 4R's curriculum development model. Number one, richness. Curriculum depth encourages diverse interpretation and flavors of reality, promoting continuous learning and intellectual exploration. Number two, recursion. Continuous revisiting of ideas and content, allowing deeper understanding with each encounter, like Jerome Bruner, Spiral Curriculum. Relations recognizes the dynamic connections within curriculum development, emphasizing both pedagogical and cultural links that evolve over time. Rigor, defined as an interpretive and uncertain rather than strictly precise, embraces alternative perspectives rooted in chaos, theories and unpredictability. Before we shall proceed to number three, which is enacting curriculum development, kindly provide answer for this. How can you, as a future teacher, use postmodernist curriculum approaches like the deliberation model, Slattery's approach, and the DOS approach to make learning more connected to students' real lives, interests, and ideas? Let's now proceed with enacting curriculum development. Curriculum teams operate at multiple levels: federal, state, and local, with the highest level teams creating broad policy standards and laws such as No Child Left Behind and Race to the Top. However, local curriculum teams primarily handle the detailed alignment of these standards with practical teaching needs. The current state of the Philippine education governance, according to the Philippine Business for Education. The structure of Philippine basic education is big and has many moving parts. There are a total of 47,188 schools in the public school system, 37,628 elementary schools, 1,511 junior high schools, and 216 senior high schools in 2020. In addition, there are 14,458 schools that are privately run and 271 operated by state universities and colleges, or the SUP, or local universities and colleges, by De La Fuente Node. The Department of Education has a central office, 17 regional offices, including BARMM, and 223 school division offices. There are school districts that have a functional line, but no bureaucratic plantilla item. By virtue of the Local Government Code of 1991, local school boards, or the LSB, exist at the division level, which is equivalent to a local government unit, province, or city depending on size. Districts are the equivalent of municipalities of large barangays. The Governance of Basic Education Act 2001 further allowed for school-based management and mandated the creation of school governing councils. Illustration number one is a visual representation of the Philippine education government structure. So under the Education Forum, we have the central office composed of 30 bureaus, offices, and services. The regional office, there are 17, equivalent to RDC. So division office, 223, that is under local school board, that includes the LGU equivalent, province, chartered city, highly urbanized city. The district, LGU equivalent, large barangays, non-budgetary line, but helps the division with with its supervisory functions. So in the school governing council, schools 6,149 and community learning centers, small DepEd administrative unit. Let's define curriculum. Centrally determined but contextualized at the division level. Private schools are free to set their curricula if they meet the national minimum. Standardized assessment, centrally developed and locally administered. Private schools participate in international learning assessments. Teachers and school heads centralize qualification criteria through its registry of qualified applicants. Centralized determination of plantilla items. Salaries are paid nationally, but processing of application appointments are done at the division level. Private schools independently hire teachers and school heads using their own criteria. Classrooms construction. Division offices report classroom construction needs. Central office collates division level information through an inventory and prioritizes construction projects through a criteria, makeshift classroom, shifting of classes, etc. Budget request is then made at the national level. Budget is determined by the Congress. Procurement and construction are done by the DPWH. District engineering offices, LGUs, can also build classroom. Classroom maintenance, handled by schools and divisions. Learning materials or textbooks, centrally procured. Field offices can develop supplementary learning materials. Technology or the ICT, centrally procured. Schools MOE covers internet subscription. Who are the key members of curriculum teams? Teachers. They are primary implementers of the curriculum. Teachers are often the main contributors to curriculum teams. drawing on classroom experience to inform subject content and instructional methods. In many schools, teachers are tasked with adapting textbook materials into lesson plans, a fundamental part of curriculum development. We also have principals and vice principals. Effective principals play a supportive, sometimes directive role in curriculum reform, promoting collaborative communities of teachers and encouraging innovative practices. Research suggests principals are central in fostering change and building distributive leadership among staff. Curriculum experts. Some schools enlist external experts who contribute specialized knowledge on curriculum design and instructional complexities, offering insights that enrich the development process. We also have summary of generating aims, goals, and objectives in curriculum development. In developing a curriculum, educators begin by recognizing the core challenges, often balancing local cultural values with broader societal and economic objectives. The curriculum should help students acquire necessary knowledge, skills, and attitudes, but it may also reflect larger political, economic, and cultural aims influenced by factors such as globalization and local community needs. Let's discuss them individually. Aims, broad general statements about what the education system or curriculum seeks to achieve, often reflecting the long-term visions. Goals, more specific than aims. Goals define what is to be achieved within a course, subject, or program. They help focus on particular areas of learning over a period of time. Objectives, precise and measurable outcomes that describe what students should be able to do by the end of of a lesson or unit. They are concrete and achievable within a short period frame. Key steps in setting aims, goals, and objectives. Needs and task analysis. The first step is a thorough analysis of the needs and tasks that the curriculum should address. This involves determining what students need to succeed academically, professionally, and socially. Number two, data collection. Curriculum developers gather insights through data collection methods such as observing students' engagement and learning patterns to identify the gaps. Number two, engaging with stakeholders. Example, principals, teachers, students to understand community priorities and identify areas of improvement. Number three is you have to identify content and structure. Based on the collected data, educators begin defining content, instructional strategies, evaluation methods. There are guidelines for formulating educational objectives. Number one, alignment with goals. Objectives should match the curriculum's broader goals and align with content standards, specifying clear, measurable outcomes. Relevance and worth. Objectives must be meaningful, offering content with real life value and relevance to students' lives. Clarity and agreement. Objectives should be straightforward, ensuring uniform understanding and implementation across curriculums. 4. Consideration of diversity. While maintaining standards, objectives should consider students' diverse needs, interests, and background. We have local organization. Group objectives cohesively to aid in lesson planning and maintain consistency across different topics and complexity levels. 6. Regular updates. Objectives should be periodically revised to stay relevant as societal demands and educational practices change. Supporting progression. Objectives should build knowledge and skills progressively, facilitating students' continued learning. 8. Legal compliance. Ensure objectives meet legal mandates, covering required subjects and skills to maintain essential educational standards. This is an example of curriculum. So the learning competency is is here. Let's talk about types of objectives. Number one, behavioral objectives. Behavioral objectives are defined by observable or measurable outcomes, which indicate the student's acquired skills or knowledge. According to Major, a well-defined behavioral objective should include behavior, conditions, and proficiency level. Behavior, the action showing the objective is achieved. Condition, the context in which the learner demonstrates this behavior, proficiency level, the minimum acceptable standard, writing lesson outcomes. A for audience, B for behavior, C for condition, and letter D for the degree. This refers to the specific target audience or learners for whom the learning outcome is intended. It defines who will be achieving the outcome and helps tailor the content to their level of understanding and expertise. Number two, letter B. The behavior component outlines the specific action that learners are expected to demonstrate. As a result of the learning experience, this action should be observable, measurable, and reflective of the desired outcomes. Next, we have the condition element describes the context or circumstances under which the behavior will be demonstrated. It provides any necessary constraints, tools, resources, or settings that need to be in place for the behavior to occur. The degree component indicates the level of proficiency or mastery expected from the learners. It helps define the quality or extent to which the behavior should be performed. This aspect provides a measurable criterion for assessing the outcome's achievement. Now, I'm going to teach you on how to write lesson outcomes using the ABCD pattern. Sample lesson outcome, learning outcome. At the end of the course, students A will be able to B. Analyze and evaluate ethical dilemmas in healthcare settings using case studies and ethical framework with the aim of proposing ethically sound solutions. A. That's for the audience, students. Analyze and evaluate ethical dilemmas in healthcare settings is the behavior. Using case studies and ethical frameworks, that's the condition. Letter D, the degree, with the aim of proposing ethically sound solutions. Another one, given at least of factors leading to significant historical events. The history students will discuss at least five factors contributing to the clash of 1929. History of students, that's the audience. Discuss the factors contributing to the crash, that's the behavior. Given as list of factors leading to significant historical events, that's the condition. At least five contributing factors, that's the degree. This is the self-check instructions. Given a previously unseen learning outcome, the students will encircle the audience component, underline the behavior, highlight the condition, and place a rectangle around the degree without error. So that is the audience. Okay, that is the behavior. Okay, and this is the condition. And this is the degree. Please answer this. You have somehow 30 seconds. This is just a self check. Another one. Upon completing the leadership development program, participants will demonstrate servant leadership qualities by leading with humility, actively supporting team members, and prioritizing the collective growth during team projects and collaborative activities while fostering an environment of mutual respect and shared success. Learning outcome number three, self-check. By the end of the semester, students will produce research papers that exhibit a high standard of excellence in content, analysis, and presentation using credible sources and rigorous research methodologies as evidenced by comprehensive research findings and well-structured arguments. Learning outcome number four. After completing the internship program, participants will consistently demonstrate diligence by engaging in tasks with thoroughness, persistence, and attention to detail, while adhering to projects' timelines and established objectives as evaluated through consistent project progress and quality deliverables. Number 5, at the conclusion of the ethics module, students will be able to identify ethical dilemmas in business scenarios and propose solutions that uphold integrity and ethical principles using ethical framework and relevant laws as demonstrated by ethically sound recommendations and justifications. Let's talk about non-behavioral objectives. Non-behavioral objectives emphasize terms like appreciate or understand for broadened learning outcomes. They focus on higher order thinking skills like analysis and appreciation and allow for learning that extends beyond quantifiable measures, often addressing cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain. So this is the cognitive objectives Bloom's taxonomy. We have to start in remembering, understanding, applying, analyze, evaluating, and creating. Affective objectives by Cratwell's 5 levels. David Cratwell's models of affective objectives categorizes learning into 5 hierarchical levels, each building upon the previous. Number 1, receiving. Learners' openness to stimuli shown through awareness and selective attention. Number 2, responding. Learners' active engagement and willingness to respond to stimuli. 3, valuing. Learners' development of beliefs or values shown by acceptance or commitment. 4, organization. Learners' internalization and structuring of values into coherent system. 5, coherent characterization. Highest internalization level, reflecting a philosophy or general value system guiding behavior. In psychomotor objectives, restart in imitation, students learn by watching and copying. Manipulation, actions are performed through memorization or by following instruction. Precision, performance becomes more expert and actions are more precise. Articulation, several skills can be performed together in a harmonious way. Naturalization, high level of performance achieved with actions becoming second nature. So this is the overview of aims, goals, and objectives that we've discussed earlier. Let's talk about conception of content. Content, or the subject matter, is a compendium of facts, concepts, generalizations, principles, and theories. It is also incorporates methods, strategies for processing information. Curriculum content provides or should provide students with opportunities for discovering knowledge and relating it to the real world. Criteria for selecting content. Number 1 criterion is self-sufficiency. Content should enable learners to achieve maximum self-sufficiency by connecting their intellectual, emotional, and spiritual selves and facilitating multidimensional experiences. Number 2, significance. Content's relevance is determined by its contribution to overall curriculum aims and the development of essential skills and attitudes, shifting focus from mere content acquisition to processing knowledge effectively in the digital age. Number 3, validity. The authenticity of selected content must be regularly verified to ensure it remains accurate and relevant, acknowledging that personal ideologies and metaphors can influence perceptions of validity. 4, interest. Curriculum design should prioritize learners' interests, ensuring that content is meaningful and engaging while also fostering new interests that align with educational and societal values. Next, we have utility. Content must be useful for current and future applications, considering students' needs and ambitions while recognizing that knowledge can have varying degrees of utility in different contexts. 6, learnability. Selected content must be appropriate for students' experiences and learning styles, ensuring it is organized and sequenced for optimal comprehension and accessibility. Number 7 is feasibility. Content selection must consider practical limitations such as time, resources, staff expertise, and political and economic context, recognizing the constraints that influence curriculum planning. Now, this is your third activity. You have to draft or make sample learning outcome indicating the four ABCT: the audience, the behavior, the condition, and the degree. Kindly write it in the comment section. Let us now proceed with participants in curriculum development. Number one is the governing board or the policy making board. What is their job? Adopt policies to direct and support ongoing curriculum development and evaluation. Approve recommendations from superintendent, principal regarding curriculum and state-approved instructional resources for teachers' use. Approve a budget that provides adequate funding for the development, implementation, and training needed to effectively design and deliver the curriculum. Provide funding for the automated management system and adequate instructional resources to implement the curriculum based on system data. Demonstrate an understanding of the curriculum management plan and articulate how the board supports curriculum work. They have to communicate to constituents the board's curriculum and students' expectations. The head of the network of schools, example superintendent, they implement the policies of the board, recommend the central staff is hard to develop, assess, and manage curriculum, ensure that a functional organizational structure is in place to manage curriculum design and delivery functions, recommend the budget to support curriculum design and delivery work, require that administrative regulations and management plans are developed and followed, report annually to the board concerning curriculum design and delivery progress. They have to be responsible for system coherency and capacity. The director of curriculum develop a comprehensive long-range plan for curriculum management, development, customization, revision, and evaluation. They have to recommend staff to be hired, establish curriculum regulations, guidelines and priorities, organize and facilitate committee to develop, customize, review, and evaluate curriculum, oversee the curriculum assessment of curriculum, conduct program evaluation and communicate results, provide technical and expert assistance, as well as training and resources needed to implement the curriculum, provide support to principals in their role of implementing and managing the curriculum on their campuses. The school principal serve as the primary instructional leader of leaders and be responsible for managing the delivery of the curriculum, translate the importance of curriculum delivery and instructional best practices on a regular basis, develop a working knowledge of the curriculum for all subject courses represented at the assigned campus, observe teaching and learning in each classroom, monitor lesson delivery and assessment, monitor the quality of work that teachers assign to students, and look for evidence of the design characteristics of high student engagement. Teachers, they have to be responsible for effectively teaching the written curriculum, deliver classroom instruction by using lesson plans that are designed and proven to promote high student engagement. Determine student mastery by using a variety of assessments, including common assessment, distinct curriculum based assessment, benchmark, state and national assessment. Collaborate during planned meeting times with peers and supervisors for the purpose of improving student learning. Involve students in the learning process using a variety of strategies and grouping arrangements. The students recognize the importance of their active participation in the learning and assessment process, understand and articulate their learning strengths and needs, articulate the learning objectives within a required unit of study, come to class with all necessary learning tools, actively participate in the learning process, use data results to establish learning goals, meet or exceed learning requirements based on the district curriculum, recognize the impact their behavior has on their learning and the learning of others, set goals for their own learning, and inspire to meet the criteria of the portrait of a graduate. The parents partner with teachers and administrators, establish high expectations for learning and nurturing the desire to be a lifelong learner. Be actively involved in their child's education by knowing their child teachers, attending meetings that provide parents with information about school, attending parent-teacher conferences, keeping up with their child's progress report cards and test data, making certain that their child completes homework, assignments, and that their children goes to class prepared for learning with all necessary learning goals. Also, help their child develop good study habits.
Support school policies including the discipline management plan. Establish and maintain a positive attitude toward the school personnel and the educational process. Make every effort to address the physical, emotional, and healthcare needs for their child. The Finance and Budget Officer. Ensure that the budget reflects the organization's goals and priorities. Use a program-based budgeting process and that is based on goals, priorities, need, cost, benefit, and perceived consequences if funding request is withheld or reduced. Prepare I recommend curriculum budget with the director of curriculum. Demonstrate an understanding of the curriculum management plan and articulate how the work is supported through the budgetary process. Be able to track costs and benefit analysis to programs and services. As we are about to end the chapter 5, please do this number 4 activity. How can you, as a future teacher, work together with important people in the school community, such as the finance and budget officer, parents, students, teachers, school principal, curriculum director, head of the school network, and policy making board, to help improve learning and make sure that students' needs are supported? Thank you.